Your doctor never told you this. And I'm genuinely not sure they even know it. You've been told to eat more protein, more eggs, maybe a protein shake. And still your arms get thinner, your legs get weaker, and the stairs take something out of you they didn't used to. Comment 1 if more protein hasn't moved the needle for you. Because the problem was never the amount of protein. The problem is 3 invisible forces: chronic inflammation, oxidative stress, and a weakened gut microbiome, silently blocking your muscle cells from using the protein you're already eating. Scientists call this anabolic resistance. Your muscles have gone partially deaf. The protein knocks on the door. Nobody opens it, and here's what makes it worse. Your body runs most of its muscle repair at night, during sleep, when growth hormone peaks, and your mTOR pathway. The master muscle-building switch is supposed to run at full capacity. But if those 3 saboteurs are active when you close your eyes, they crash the repair party from the inside. You sleep 8 hours and wake up with less progress than your body made during 8 hours of sleep at 35. That's not just aging, that's a mechanism. And mechanisms can be fixed. These 6 catalyst foods, most smaller than your thumbnail, are not protein replacements. They clear the 3 barriers that have been blocking protein from working, about 10 grams, an hour before bed. Think of them as the road crew that arrives before the construction trucks. They fix the potholes, set up the infrastructure, so when protein arrives at your muscle cells during the overnight repair window, everything is finally ready. Here's what each one does. Number 1. Pumpkin seeds. I know. You were expecting something more exotic. But this one is about a mineral so fundamental to muscle function that without it, nothing else on this list or in your diet works properly. That mineral is magnesium. Here's the thing about magnesium that most people don't understand. It's not optional for muscle contraction. It's not a nice to have. Magnesium is the electrical current that makes muscle fibers fire. Every single contraction, from blinking your eyes to climbing a flight of stairs, runs through a magnesium-dependent electrochemical process. Even more importantly, for what we're talking about here, every molecule of ATP, adenosine triphosphate, the energy currency that powers your cells, requires magnesium to be synthesized. No magnesium means no ATP production. No ATP production means your muscle cells are trying to fund, repair, and synthesis with an empty account. They literally cannot afford the biological energy cost of building. Now, most people over 60 are chronically low in magnesium. Not because they aren't eating anything with magnesium in it, but because absorption declines with age. Certain medications deplete it, and the modern food supply is lower in it than it was 2 or 3 generations ago. Pumpkin seeds address this in a way that synthetic supplements often can't replicate because the magnesium in whole seeds comes packaged with natural cofactors, fatty acids, and plant compounds that dramatically improve how well your body absorbs and utilizes it. A small portion, eaten roughly an hour before sleep, delivers magnesium into your system right as your body's nightly repair shift begins. It turns the power grid back on. Number 2. Chia seeds. You've heard that omega-3 fatty acids reduce inflammation. You probably know fish oil has omega-3s. So, what makes chia seeds different enough to include here? The answer is in a property most people don't know about. When chia seeds come into contact with liquid, stomach fluid, water, anything, they form a gel. A physical, slow-release gel. And that gel changes everything about how the omega-3s inside them are delivered to your body. Instead of being absorbed rapidly and metabolizing out of your bloodstream within a few hours, they are released gradually over an extended period, an overnight period. Which means if you eat chia seeds an hour before bed, you are loading a slow, sustained, anti-inflammatory delivery system that runs through the entire window when your body is supposed to be repairing muscle tissue. Compare that to taking a fish oil capsule in the morning. By the time you're asleep, the anti-inflammatory effect has largely worn off. Your repair cycle runs in a high-inflammation environment. The cellular machinery works against resistance. But with chia seeds taken before bed, you are running a sustained anti-inflammatory drip through the exact window when your muscle cells need a calm, receptive environment to respond to the growth signals your body is trying to send. This single timing adjustment for this single food can change what happens in your body every night. Comment 2 if this already explains something you've been wondering about. Because the next one, number 3, is the one that answers why so many people do everything right and still feel like their body isn't responding. Stay with me. Number 3, hemp seeds. This is about a ratio that most mainstream nutrition advice completely overlooks. And once you understand it, you'll see why almost every healthy eating approach aimed at seniors is fundamentally incomplete. Your body's baseline inflammation level is heavily influenced by the ratio of omega-6 fatty acids to omega-3 fatty acids in your diet, not just the amount of either the ratio. The target for an anti-inflammatory state is roughly 3 or 4 to 1, omega-6 to omega-3. A typical Western diet, even a relatively healthy one, is running at something closer to 15 or 20 to 1. This sustained imbalance creates a constant low-grade inflammatory state throughout your body. And in that state, your muscles cannot properly hear the signals that tell them to grow and repair. The anabolic resistance we talked about at the beginning, this ratio imbalance is one of its primary drivers. Hemp seeds have a natural fat composition that is remarkably close to that ideal 3 or 4 to 1 ratio. Not because anyone engineered it, it's just what hemp seeds are. And when you eat them consistently, they help nudge your body's background inflammatory state back towards something your muscle cells can actually function in. But hemp seeds have one more advantage that pushes them ahead of almost anything else you could add to this protocol. They contain a meaningful amount of leucine, and leucine is the specific amino acid that acts as the ignition key for mTOR. You can have a muscle that's nutritionally ready, a body that's got plenty of protein circulating, but without enough leucine hitting the threshold needed to trigger mTOR activation, the engine doesn't start. Hemp seeds contribute to that leucine pool. They are simultaneously correcting the inflammatory ratio and loading the ignition key. You are not just feeding your muscles. You are preparing the exact terrain they need to finally start responding. Number 4, flaxseeds. This is the one that genuinely surprised me when I first went through the research. Because this is not about the seeds themselves in any direct way. It's about what they do to a system that your body depends on for everything and that almost nobody connects to muscle health. I'm talking about the gut-muscle axis. This is a relatively newer area of research, and the findings keep getting more significant the more scientists dig into it. Here is the core idea. The bacteria in your gut are not passive bystanders to your body's processes. They are active participants. Certain strains of beneficial bacteria, particularly bifidobacterium and lactobacillus populations, produce short-chain fatty acids as a byproduct of their metabolic activity. These short-chain fatty acids travel through your bloodstream and act as signaling compounds that reach your muscle tissue, directly influencing protein metabolism, muscle sensitivity to anabolic signals, and even how efficiently your muscles extract amino acids from the food you've already eaten. In other words, the health of your gut microbiome directly determines how much of your protein actually ends up becoming muscle. And it's not a small effect. Studies in aging adults have found that restoring healthy populations of these beneficial bacteria is associated with measurable improvements in muscle protein synthesis, independent of any change in protein intake. Now, what do these beneficial bacteria eat? Prebiotic fiber. specifically the soluble fiber found in high concentrations in flax seeds. When you eat ground flax seeds in the evening, you are feeding the microbial workforce that processes your protein more efficiently. You are not supplementing your protein. You are upgrading the entire system that handles it. And the results of that show up in how your muscles respond over the following days and weeks gradually, cumulatively, in a way that protein alone never produced. Comment 1 if you've never heard the gut-muscle axis discussed in a muscle-building context before. Because number 5 addresses something almost nobody talks about in senior health. And it's responsible for one of the most common hidden reasons nutrients stop reaching muscle tissue after 60. Number 5. Bee pollen. I want to acknowledge that this one sounds unexpected. It's not something you see in most mainstream health advice. But the mechanism here is well documented and genuinely impressive, and I want to take a moment to explain both sides of how it works. Bee pollen contains a dense, naturally occurring concentration of bioactive enzymes, flavonoids, and phenolic compounds that are genuinely difficult to find in this specific combination anywhere else in the natural world. These compounds do two distinct things inside your body simultaneously, and both of them matter enormously for what we're trying to accomplish here. The first thing they do is support the production of nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is a signaling molecule that relaxes the smooth muscle tissue in your blood vessel walls, allowing them to expand and improving circulation, particularly to peripheral tissue, which includes your legs, arms, and skeletal muscle. Now, here is why this matters so much after 60. Sluggish circulation is one of the most underappreciated reasons why nutrients fail to reach muscle tissue effectively in older adults. You can have the best nutrition in the world circulating in your blood, but if the delivery system is sluggish, if the blood isn't moving freely through the small capillaries that actually feed muscle cells, then those nutrients arrive late, in reduced concentrations, and the cells that need them most are working with a fraction of what was sent. Bee pollen helps open those channels. The second thing those bioactive compounds do is support mitochondrial efficiency, specifically the performance of the mitochondria inside your muscle cells. Mitochondria are where ATP is produced. When mitochondrial function declines, which is a well-documented aspect of muscle aging, your muscle cells literally don't have the energy budget to run full repair and synthesis programs. They triage. They do the minimum. Bee pollen helps restore efficiency to those tiny power plants, giving your cells more usable energy to put toward the repair programs running overnight. Improve delivery to the cells. More energy inside the cells. Both at once. Number 6. Goji berries. This is the one with the most direct and specific protective effect on muscle tissue at the molecular level. And it's the piece that completes the picture by coming back to the mTOR switch we've been discussing throughout this video. Goji berries contain a compound called LBP, lithium barbarum polysaccharide. This is one of the most studied bioactive plant compounds in modern nutritional and pharmacological research, with dozens of peer-reviewed studies examining how it behaves inside human cells under stress. And the mechanism most relevant to us is this. LBP is a powerful free radical neutralizer inside muscle cells specifically. Here's why that matters so much. Oxidative stress, the accumulation of reactive oxygen species, or free radicals inside muscle cells, has a specific and well-documented effect on the mTOR pathway. When oxidative stress is high, mTOR gets suppressed. The body essentially shifts into a defensive mode. It redirects resources away from growth and repair and toward managing the cellular damage being caused by the free radicals. It's a survival mechanism. The problem is that for many people over 60, this defensive mode has become the default state. The oxidative load is chronically elevated, mTOR is chronically suppressed, and no matter how much protein arrives, The master switch for building muscle is being held in the off position by the body's own stress response. LBP from goji berries neutralizes that oxidative load at the cellular level directly inside the muscle cells, where it's doing the most damage. And when oxidative stress drops, the suppression on mTOR lifts. The pathway can run at full capacity, which means that taking goji berries before bed when your body is naturally trying to activate its mTOR repair program gives that program the cleanest, most receptive environment it's had in possibly years. Everything else on this list cleared the road and loaded the crew. Goji berries are the security detail that removes the last obstacle standing between your muscles and genuine overnight repair. Comment 2 if you're going to put this combination together tonight before you sleep. Let me be honest with you about something before we wrap up, because I don't want you to take anything I've said today and run it further than the evidence supports. None of these 6 foods is a magic pill. There is no magic pill. Muscle loss after 60 is a real, multifaceted biological process, and recovering lean mass is a project that takes months, not days. But here is what I want you to carry with you from everything we've talked about today. The reason most older adults struggle to build or maintain muscle despite eating protein, despite exercising, despite trying, isn't that they're doing something wrong in the obvious sense. It's that the advice they've received has been too simple for the complexity of the problem. Eat more protein addresses the raw material. It completely ignores the infrastructure. And when the infrastructure is broken, when inflammation is chronically elevated, when oxidative stress is suppressing mTOR, when the gut microbiome isn't extracting nutrients properly, when circulation is sluggish and mitochondria are underperforming, then adding more raw material to a broken system produces the same disappointing result every time. These 6 catalyst foods address the infrastructure. They don't replace your protein. They make your protein finally capable of doing what you've been hoping it would do all along. And there's one more layer to this that I didn't have time to fully explore today, something that sits above even the mTOR pathway. There are 2 additional compounds found in ordinary foods that researchers have identified as key regulators of how long mTOR stays active once it's been switched on. Not whether it fires, but the duration and completeness of each repair cycle. That's the subject of the next video, and it might be the piece that ties everything together. Make sure you're in a position to see it when it comes. Here is what you do tonight. Get a small bowl. Add a pinch of pumpkin seeds, a pinch of chia seeds, a pinch of hemp seeds, a small spoon of ground flax seeds, half a spoon of bee pollen, and a small handful of goji berries. The total should be around 10 grams. It's a small portion. You can eat them as they are, fold them into a spoon of yogurt, or stir them into warm water with a little honey. Eat this about an hour before you go to sleep. Your body's nightly repair window opens every single night, whether or not you've done anything to prepare for it. Tonight, for the first time in perhaps a long time, you will have your muscles are not finished responding. The research on this is genuinely encouraging. Anabolic resistance is not a permanent sentence. It's a condition with identifiable causes, and those causes can be directly addressed. The question was never whether your body was capable of repair. The question was whether the environment you were giving it was capable of letting it happen. Comment 1 if this changed how you understand what your body actually needs after 60. And if you have someone in your life, a spouse, a sibling, a friend who's been quietly frustrated that nothing seems to work anymore, share this with them. Because the answer they've been looking for might just be in a bowl of small seeds they could put together before bed tonight. See you in the next one.